In a quiet desert town called Zarephath, there lived a widow named Miriam. She was poor, but not just in money, she was poor in hope. Since her husband's death, she had struggled to feed her only son, Eli. Day by day, the oil jar emptied, the flour jar lightened, and her prayers grew quieter. One evening, as the desert winds whispered against her worn home, Miriam lit a tiny lamp and looked at her sleeping child. Just one more meal, she thought. Then what? She fell to her knees and cried, God, if you can hear me, show me that you still move. Because I've heard the stories of Abraham, Moses, Elijah, but they feel far away. The next morning, Miriam went to gather sticks. Her plan was simple: bake the last of her flour into bread, then prepare for the worst. As she stooped to pick up a branch, a stranger in a dusty robe approached. He looked tired, but his eyes carried peace. Woman, he said gently, would you give me a drink? Startled, Miriam hesitated, but nodded. As she turned to go, the man added, and a small piece of bread too. She froze. Sir, I have only a handful of flour and a little oil. I was going to prepare it for me and my son so we may eat and die. The man stepped closer. Do not be afraid. Go and do as you planned, but first, make me a small loaf. For thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, the jar of flour shall not be spent, and the jug of oil shall not run dry, until the Lord sends rain upon the earth. It's when the Lord wants to bless you abundantly, that He will ask you to give what you feel you can't release, like your last card or your all, but if you are very sensitive and discerning, you will obey even if it's not convenient for you. And if you do, you will see how God will bless you abundantly. Miriam's hands trembled as she baked the bread. Every logical thought told her this man was crazy or cruel. But something deep within her stirred. Faith, small as a mustard seed, rose. She served the bread to the stranger, then went back to the flour jar, and gasped. It was full. And so was the oil jar. For weeks, then months, the jars did not empty. Every morning, new provision. Every evening, new wonder. Her home became known as the house of the endless jar. That's the power of giving. The book of Luke 6 verse 38 says, Give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, and shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that you meet withal it shall be measured to you again. But miracles don't exempt us from trials. One night, Eli grew sick. At first it was a fever, then convulsions. Miriam did all she could, prayed every prayer, but her son died in her arms. She screamed at the heavens, why? Why give and then take? The prophet, now revealed to be Elijah, the man of God, took the boy to the upper room. He stretched himself over the boy 3 times and cried, Lord, my God, let this child's life return to him. The room was silent. Then Eli gasped. Life returned. Miriam ran into the room and clutched her son, weeping. Elijah simply said, Your son lives. She looked at the prophet, then toward the sky. Now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord from your mouth is true. Years passed. Eli grew, the famine ended, and Miriam's story spread. People came from far-off cities to see the widow who fed a prophet with her last meal, whose jar never emptied, whose son returned from death. When asked how she survived, Miriam would smile and say, The world has limits. Men fail. Hope fades. But I have learned one thing. What God cannot do, does not exist.
Thanks for watching. I'm sure you've been blessed by the video. Please do well to like, share, and subscribe.